Since Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, many Russians have fled the country. These migrants, who include those fleeing political repression, avoiding military conscription, and opposing the war, have relocated to various destinations. This outflow is considered the largest exodus of Russians in the past 30 years, primarily driven by the war and conscription efforts. According to various estimates, between 500,000 and 1.3 million people left Russia in the first year of the Ukrainian war. Russians moved mainly to visa-free countries: Armenia, Georgia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, the UAE and Mongolia. The state hides the fact of emigration and reports that the migration flow in the first 6 months of 2022 amounted to only 96.7 thousand people, which was even less than the pre-COVID figures. After the start of the war in Ukraine, the United States unexpectedly became the first country in which Russians applied for asylum en masse. According to incomplete figures, 48,000 Russians moved to this country. Those who went to Israel are mainly of Jewish origin. Musavat.com represents the top 5 countries where Russians currently live the most. The United Arab Emirates has long been a country where not only the rich live. Tens of thousands of Russians have moved to Dubai and Sharjah. They work here, do business, and gain status by opening companies. Moving here is not living like a sheikh, but a legalized way to work peacefully abroad. Renting an apartment starting at $1,000 is nothing in this country, from income to taxes. Russians choose this country not only because it is tax-free, it is both safe and has a stable economy. According to recent data, 100,000 Russians have moved to Georgia, and about 70,000 of them have already settled permanently in this country. Russians choose this place because their language is understandable, the climate is mild, and the food is delicious. And the price of renting an apartment here starts at just $300. Kazakhstan has been among the top 3 countries where Russians have settled the most in the last 3 years. Official statistics on permanent immigrants to this country have not been released, but hundreds of thousands of Russians have crossed the border since the war. The second country where Russians have settled the most in the last 3 years is our brotherly Turkey. 150,000 Russians have already received residence permits here. According to Russians, this is a tourist destination, but it is also very convenient to live. Russians already have their own schools, clinics, and law offices in Alanya, Antalya, and Istanbul. Tens of thousands of Russians live there without plans to return. The country where Russians emigrated the most after the war is Serbia. 300,000 have emigrated here. Belgrade is already called the new Russian Vilnius. Serbia is not a member of the European Union. It is a nation close to Russians. There is visa-free entry for this country, and rental houses are no more than $250. As for the Asian continent, there are no official statistics, but tens of thousands of Russians live in Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka. Here, too, there are simplified visa regimes. Apartment rent starts at $200, and food is mostly kopecks. Most of those who have left Russia over the past 3 years are in their late 20s and mid-40s, globally minded and highly skilled. They come from Russia's biggest cities, Moscow and St. Petersburg, and predominantly work in the IT sector, academia, media, education, and the arts. Most left with accumulated savings and speak fluent English. 8 out of 10 hold higher education degrees, while 1 in 10 has a PhD.
In the Donetsk region, the advance of Russian occupiers has been stopped, and more than 90 invaders have been eliminated. This was reported by the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, which also released a video showing impressive footage of the unit's combat work. The Brotherhood unit, part of the Timur Special Forces of the GUR, together with their brothers from the Russian Volunteer Corps, successfully completed a combat mission to contain enemy forces in the Donetsk region. During the assault, the unit's fighters killed more than 90 Muscovites, and Brotherhood captured 5 more, the intelligence officers said. In total, FPV drone and drone bomber operators carried out more than 400 combat sorties and supported the ground component of the operation with precise strikes. Thus, thanks to the effective actions of the reconnaissance personnel, it was possible to stabilize the logistics of the defense forces in a certain area of responsibility and prevent the enemy from quickly advancing towards the borders of the Dnipropetrovsk region. During the special operation, several groups of so-called standard bearers were also discovered and neutralized, Russian servicemen who, at the cost of their lives, hung tricolors for photos in territory not controlled by the enemy. This is being done, according to the GUR, in order to later falsely declare the capture of these settlements. All identified standard bearers were either destroyed or captured by the Brotherhood fighters, Ukrainian intelligence officers note. Recall that the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, Oleksandr Syrsky, stated that 6 settlements in the Pokrovsk direction have been cleared of Russian occupiers. As the general noted, special attention is being paid to the sections of the front where the situation is the most difficult. In particular, in the military command bodies, corps and brigades that are conducting stabilization operations on the Dobropilya salient, where the units of the Armed Forces of Ukraine and the National Guard of Ukraine are honorably carrying out combat missions. According to Syrsky, as a result of successful strike and search operations, hundreds of Russian occupiers have been destroyed. Russia launched a rare drone and missile attack on western Ukraine overnight, officials said Thursday, striking targets including an American-owned electronics plant and injecting further uncertainty into the US-led efforts to end the 3-year-old war. The aerial assault on a part of Ukraine that has largely avoided such focused attacks was one of Russia's biggest this year and came amid Moscow's objections to key aspects of proposals that could end the fighting following Russia's February 2022 invasion of its neighbor. The Flex factory is one of the biggest American investments in Ukraine, Andy Hunter, president of the American Chamber of Commerce in Ukraine, told the Associated Press. Russia is destroying American business in Ukraine, Russia is destroying Ukraine, and those values that America has stood for and that it continues to stand for, Hunter said. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky suggested in his nightly video address that Russia had been purposely targeting American investments in Ukraine. We believe that it was a targeted strike specifically on American property here in Ukraine, on American investments, he said. Zelensky condemned the attack amid a renewed diplomatic push for peace. U.S. President Donald Trump discussed the war with Russian President Vladimir Putin in Alaska last week before hosting Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European leaders at the White House on Monday. But Russia has fired nearly 1,000 long-range drones and missiles at Ukraine since Monday's White House talks, according to Ukrainian tallies.